welcome back to another episode of the Christian Athlete Podcast. I'm your host, Kennedy Llewellyn, and today I'm joined with a very special guest. She was ranked top 10 in the state of Georgia as a junior player, top 15 in the South, an ITA Scholar Athlete of the Year, and she's a marketing major. Please welcome Emily Surcey.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the 6th episode of the Christian Athlete Podcast. I am joined with Mississippi State tennis player Emily Surcey. Welcome, Emily.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited.
Of course. Well, let's just go ahead and get started with a quick, brief testimony.
Yeah, for sure. So I grew up in the church. I went to church with my family basically every Sunday. And then basically through middle school, high school, went to church, read my Bible when I, wanted to, and when, life was good. And got to college, and that really kind of flipped my world upside down. I know my first year of college was pretty tough spiritually. I got wrapped in like partying and just giving into my flesh and the stuff of this world. And that really kind of challenged my faith in a way that made me realize that I was living just like a passive Christian lifestyle, just not really actively living for the Lord and having like a heart on fire. And that is when I joined some small groups. I joined a church back in Jonesboro because I'm a transfer from Arkansas State. And that is what I think really projected me into just being on a path where I was uncomfortable. And I think that's a good thing. And the Lord has just been so faithful to me through my transfer process to Mississippi State and even through my year here at Mississippi State, because trust me, there's been a lot of challenges, a lot of things out of my control, just circumstances that I didn't foresee. But honestly, without having that foundation, being grounded in that, I genuinely couldn't make it through, and I wouldn't be sitting here with you right now. So I'm just super grateful that the Lord has been so faithful through keeping me injury-free, giving me the people that just build me up and allow me to be myself. And so I'm just so grateful to have the opportunity to play, living out my dream of playing SEC tennis.
That's super cool. I love that. And you were, at the beginning, you were saying like, you were in that like passive kind of walk with the Lord. I've definitely been through that myself, especially like freshman year. That's always a tough transition for anyone, really. And can you just kind of break down what that was like, where it was like you felt the Holy Spirit like tugging at your heart, but at the same time you wanted to indulge in those worldly desires? Can you just explain like what that was like and how God finally got your attention, and when you finally were like, okay, you can have it?
For sure. Yeah, it was really the beginning of the year. I think just the pressures of being in college alone, being the freshman, like you said, being on a sports team and having a team that just like to do those things too. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think that, everyone has the right to live their life how they want to live, but I knew that deep down that wasn't right. And I knew that I was searching for things to just fill that God-sized hole in my heart. And I love that saying. I love, nothing can fill that God-sized hole except God. And I just remember being with my mentor, and she's like, how are you doing? And, I was like, really not that good. And in that moment, I just kind of reflected. This was towards December, I think, of my freshman year. And she's like, Emily, are you truly saved? And I'm like that really caught me off guard, because I know that throughout that whole semester, I've been really struggling with my faith. And like I said, living two separate lives, living the life of, the Christian girl, and living the life of a student athlete who wants to have fun. And I was like, I don't know. And I remember going to my dorm room that night and just completely breaking down on the floor of my room and just praying over my faith and asking God to just completely save me and show me the path that he wants me to be on, and truly having my heart. And that is where I really saw my faith shift. And I actually got baptized after that. And that was a really awesome experience. There was a lot of signs that showed me that that was the right thing to do, and the way to just, give him my whole heart instead of pieces at a time. So.
Yeah, that's super cool. Wow. Yeah. No, that definitely happens to a lot of people. I feel like at this age though, just from what I've seen and just from the people I've been around, it's usually not until you get to like maybe your senior year of high school or your beginning college years where you truly start to like feel that tug from the Lord, and like he's telling you, all right, come on now, it's time to come with me. And then not in like a forceful way. God doesn't force
Right.
anyone to do anything. Like we have free will. But
Right.
it's like, especially if you grew up in a Christian household, because I grew up in a Christian household my whole entire life, but I didn't really start to feel that move to like get serious with the Lord until like my freshman year of college. So
Right.
yeah, but that's really cool. I love that.
Thank you.
Um,
Yeah, it's been a journey.
I bet it's definitely a journey for sure. So, what made you want to come to Mississippi State to play?
So I always, from a young age, dreamed of playing SEC tennis, just big tennis, big sports, having all the resources. And I like the fan environment. I know that a lot of big schools have fans that support every sport. So for the transition, I thought it was close to home enough. It's about 4.5 hours from where I live in Georgia. And it had just the environment, the kind of Southern roots. I'm a big Southern girl, so I wanted to stay true to that. And I was very impressed with the nutrition, the resources, the strength and conditioning. Everything really checked all the boxes for me, and I got really excited and felt like it would be my home. And I didn't really have that feeling at the previous school, so I knew that this was the right decision to make. And I definitely know now that I was meant to be here. I have a list of things that show me like, wow, I was really placed here for a reason.
Super cool. And you also said you're in like small groups now. So did you want to talk about what that's like and how it's like that transition from high school to college to being in those small groups?
Yeah, for sure. So I go to a church here in Starkville. I go to Pine Lake every Sunday, or the Sundays that I'm in town and not playing a match. But yeah, I found a small group. I'm actually part of the FCA here. So I represent women's tennis at the FCA, and that was a huge part of my year. We'd meet every Monday night, and lead team would meet every Sunday. So that was like a little small group. And then FCA itself was kind of a small group as well, because we were really close. Again, Mississippi State has those family oriented values, so I really appreciated that. But I started I want to say in January, I think I started a girls Christian athlete for like women small group. And that's called PrEP, and it stands for Purpose, Rest, Elevate, Play. And we had a few girls from all different sports teams join, and we did a Bible study and we did a book study on the Christian athlete, a book by Brian Smith. And I love Brian. He's a great guy. I met him last year at a Christian athlete camp, but that's where I got the idea to do that book. And it's a great book. I highly recommend it for any college athlete and even retired college athletes too.
That's so cool. Wow. So what kind of like growth and impact have you seen your small group take on other individuals?
Yeah, so I know that for sure it's brought us closer for one, and I know there was a lot of freshmen in the small group. There were freshman girls who just got here in the spring, so they were brand new on campus. And really appreciative that those girls decided to join, because then it gave me some new friends, it gave them some new friends, and I just saw their faith take off. And I know that they have good foundation and good roots in that, and it's honestly made such an impact in my life to see their faithfulness, and it's kept me more accountable. And I know that it's made them accountable, especially through reading the book. And it was just a place where we could all come together and be a little family and a little group of women who just want to have that communion and fellowship with the Lord.
That's really good. That's always really important too, having that fellowship with other people.
Right.
Yeah, definitely important. Being at FCA and just meeting new people, how have you, and I mean, we kind of all see each other everywhere just because everyone's on campus, everyone's in sports, but
Right.
I guess my question is like, how has FCA almost changed your perspective on how you see certain people and knowing about their faith and where they come from?
Definitely. Yeah, that's a great question. I really have seen a change in people in FCA, especially our lead team. I know that we all have super strenuous schedules. We're playing almost every weekend, our spring sports, and then our fall sports are playing every weekend. But just seeing like the football players, seeing their representatives and their lead team, and just seeing the lead team especially bring people into FCA, people who've never even heard of you know, the Lord's faithfulness before, and seeing the Lord really up close, seeing the new people come in, and even the new believers. I know a few people that even got saved over the course of the year. So that was just so awesome to see, because I feel like that's the point, is to create a legacy. And that's my word for the lead team for the year, was legacy. And I feel like at FCA, we're trying to find replacements of ourselves. So I'll eventually find someone that's going to replace me on lead team, and then I know that they're going to create the legacy too, and continue to serve athletes coming into Mississippi State.
Yeah. That's really good. Yeah, it's definitely cool seeing, because I'm sure you guys have those, do you guys do things where like certain people will tell their stories?
Yeah, we do testimony, we do sharing, all the stuff like that.
I always love those. Those are super good. And it's so crazy because like a lot of people just wouldn't think, a lot of people don't think of them as human beings. They see them as like they're in their uniform, they got a football in their hand, a bat in their hand, whatever. And I'm just like, no, these are real people, guys. Okay, they have real lives. And being able to hear their testimony and hear about the things they went through, it's so empowering. And it's just like, man, like if God can do that in their life, why wouldn't he be able to do it in mine?
For sure. Yeah.
It's just, I think it's so cool.
Yeah, I really like fangirl, honestly, over some of our athletes here, and to see them show up at FCA and to be on a team with them really just gave me a sense of gratitude, and to see them struggle through things and similar to me, and to see them overcome that because of their faith, and to share about it. I'm like, we are really just people with real problems, and we're no different, honestly. So it's a humbling experience too. So that really opened my eyes.
Yeah, and being vulnerable like that in front of people you don't know, huge thing. So that's always really good. But so I know, just like any other athlete, any other person, everyone's busy with their schedule and what they're going on. So my question for you is, how do you stay intentional with praying to God and reading his word every day?
For sure. Yeah, it's tough. And honestly, a lot of the days I struggle with it, because I wake up early in the morning, I have 8 a.m. classes, I have to study, I have to get my nutrition, I have to eat, and then practice, and then strength or conditioning, and running around campus. So a lot of days I don't even get to it. But even those days, I still have a gratitude journal that I do. It's actually right here. I just fill in what I'm thankful for. And at the end of the day, it's just something to kind of ground me. And I always set an intention for the day in the morning. I have a Jesus Listens book by Sarah Young. Love that book. I read that in the car before I go to practice or before I go to school. But for the days where I get to sit down and really have time to enjoy the word, I have a Bible plan that I'm reading. And some days I'll just pray that the Lord opens my eyes in some way to the verse that I'm reading. But I do have a journal. I have a Hosanna Revival Bible. I love those. They're so pretty. But a lot of days I just try to do something, honestly, because I know, like other athletes, we barely have time. So the days where I have FCA, the days where I have lead team, I really try to make the most of those days, because a lot of days a week we just don't have time, unfortunately.
Yeah. Time is just so limited, I swear. It's like you have so much time, but at the same time you really don't.
And you have to make time. I think it's the commitment to that. And I think as I've seen my season coming to an end for this year, I've had way more time, because practice, we've stopped practicing, we've stopped a lot of mandatory things. So I get to create my own schedule. And I think staying true to that even through season is some of my goals for next year, is to truly stay on a schedule, on a reading plan, and hold myself accountable. And have others hold me accountable too. But for the most part, I was able to do a lot of Bible reading studies in my free time in between classes or something.
Good. That's really good. Yeah, it can be a pain, honestly. Just like, because at the same time too, it's like you're kind of hard on yourself about it too, because it's like, okay, you have to do this, you got to do this, and at some point it can get to it where it's like, okay, am I doing this because I want to do it, or am I doing it because it's like
a checklist? Yeah, checklist. For sure.
that is what bugs me the most. I'm like, don't get in that mindset, Kenny. That's not good.
Right. No, because I mean, as an athlete, we're always doing stuff to checking stuff off. Oh, we did practice. Yep. We got our nutrition bag. Check. We got our dinner. We got our lunch. Check. We're just that our day is planned out. My outfits are planned out. I wear the same every day of every week. So trust me when I say my life is like a big checkbox sometimes.
Yeah. No, definitely. It's crazy. But my next question is, how can you tell when God is telling you to rest or to keep working?
Ooh, I love that question. I
Mhm.
know that he really talks to me through other people. I know that there's different like prophetic personalities, and I really feel like one of mine is, hearing through others and even through nature and through my own like body. I know that when my body is very tired, when I feel like I might be injury prone, I know I'm like, okay, I need to take a second and really kind of come back and not be so hard on myself to push myself physically every day. I know that's going to be a news flash for a lot of athletes. Like, you don't have to feel pain in order to have a good workout. And I'm still like swallowing that truth to this day. And I really emphasize recovery. I know that yoga, and I can be very intentional with doing, yoga and not, I guess, worshiping other religions through that. But I'd have to say that the Lord truly speaks to me through others. And when I feel like my teammates are pushing us as a team and we're really getting into that and creating that synergy and that friendship and relationship, that's when I really get excited. And I know that, okay, it's time to ramp up. And even through season, I'm listening to worship music on the court, and that really just pumps me up and gets my adrenaline going, ready for a match. And he just continued to show up and give me that strength on the days where I didn't think I had any.
Yeah, definitely. He is our strength for sure. Because there's days where I'm like, I can't, I can't do this.
And I think being
But
easy on ourselves too, giving ourselves grace, just because he gives us so much grace and so much mercy. Like, who are we to not give ourselves grace and mercy on our days too?
yeah, we definitely have to be more easy on ourselves, because I mean, life is tough, your body's it's deteriorating as we speak.
Right.
But so definitely understanding that we are human and we can't take on the weight of the world. So yeah, I totally get that.
I one real quick, one little thing that I heard or read the other day, I don't remember where it was, but God gives us the amount of strength that we need to go through that day. Like, that specific day, he gives us that allotted amount of strength. And there's going to be days where he gives us, less strength because we're not taking on a challenge that hard. And there are days where he gives us more strength because we're taking on days, that are going to be hard and strenuous. So that's what I really started, keeping in my head as I go through my days is, well, the Lord's going to give me the amount of strength I need for this day, not tomorrow, not yesterday, but just living in this day, in this moment.
Yeah, that's so true. That's really good. Definitely. I mean, if he woke you up today, he already has everything planned out and provided. Like, he knows what needs to be done for you today. Oh my goodness, I love that. That's actually so good.
Snaps for that.
Snaps. That's really good. So I mean, you're on a team with other athletes and other people. Not everyone's saved.
Right.
So how do you think, in what ways, I guess, do you think God's been able to speak through you to other people? Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. No, I totally understand. I think at first it was very hard because we've had girls on our team, very international. Tennis is a very international sport. So my team, we have girls from Greece, we have a girl from Spain, Italy, France. We have people from all over. So there's a lot of different just belief systems and different religions that are brought to the court and to the table. But I think that for me, I always ask the Lord to just place a teammate on my heart and allow me to pray over them and to pray for them. And as the year went on, I really became more courageous to pray over my teammates in the moment. And just seeing some girls who I thought wouldn't be very receptive to that, just, allowing me to pray over them after a match or after a loss. And yeah, that was really powerful. I think some days where I ask girls, hey, can I pray over you? Or is there anything I can pray for you for? And they give me a list of prayer requests. And they're not believers, and that's just super encouraging to me. And I know that I definitely could have done better, but that's my flesh being like, hey, you can always do better. But I know going forward, just having that, being that light, and it's, not super hard to do all the time. You just be yourself and let the Lord kind of shine through you. Because I think forcing it isn't gonna, you know, work out sometimes. But just like I said, yeah, it was great to see that response. And I think going forward, I kind of know what I want that to look like.
Yeah, I think that's just that mindset where it's like all you can really do is plant a seed. And
Right.
it's just up to them if they want to allow God to water it
Yeah,
and let it grow.
for sure.
That's really, yeah, there's not much you can do. I mean, we as humans, like, or our own, we have, what am I trying to say here? Okay, what I'm trying to say is just like, we're obviously not the Lord. We can't save everyone. And we can only do so much with the things that God has given us. And he's given us enough. I mean, he
Right.
himself is enough for us. So, I mean, we just take what we got and use it, and he's gonna work it out.
Yeah.
So.
And I know that, like, in the Christian Athlete, the book that we read, and a lot of the points and the principles were like, you can still show love and show God to your teammates through just being there for them in practice times, asking them how they're doing, giving them compliments and building them up. And I really started to try that more, and then I felt better. And I'm like, okay, wait, it's a two-way street now. So that's one thing that really opened my eyes too, is, I'm giving and I'm pouring into people, but because of that, the Lord continues to pour into me and give me that strength to give to others.
Yeah. Speaking life, there's power in the tongue. Like,
Sure.
power of life and death are in the tongue.
They are.
And yeah, you'll definitely see it too.
Yeah.
And so that's really good though.
Yeah, blessing my coaches. That's
Mhm.
challenging, but I think letting go of anger, letting go of resentment or hate towards anybody is something that I tried to do over the course of the year, and it really just took a weight off of me.
Okay, yeah, let's actually get into that, because I think as athletes, like, we try to, especially like in moments where, I mean, it's a very competitive atmosphere being an athlete and competing, and there's going to be moments where you're up against the same girl that you've been playing against since high school or since your freshman year, where you're like, you again, and now you gotta like try to go after them, and then they beat you, and it's like, oh. So
Yeah.
in those moments, like, I'm sure you've experienced that before, whether it's been in high school, middle school, college. Like, how have you really approached that kind of situation? How have you brought that to God, really?
Right. So just playing anybody that I know, playing a team that we're supposed to hate, playing rivals, I know that I just pray for the matches. I pray over the match before, I pray over the match during, as soon as I'm on court. And usually my prayer just includes, the safety of everybody, the honesty and integrity of all the players, including myself and my team. I pray over the refs, because goodness, they need some prayers sometimes.
Yeah.
Give them eyes to see, Lord, please. With the calls, but yeah, I know that I usually just try to pray over that and just open my heart, because I know that a hardened heart doesn't produce any kind of fruit. And the days where I didn't pray, I definitely saw that play out. I was a lot more angry. I had a lot more hatred and resentment, and it doesn't feel good. Sometimes it feels good in the moment, because you kind of go back into the worldly belief that having that anger and fueled by, revenge or hatred is healthy, but it's not. And unfortunately, I saw, that play out with myself and my teammates, and it never ended well. But God gives us grace and the opportunity and second chances to do better and move on and forgive ourselves. And I think now competing, continuing to compete over the summer, I know that I can practice that and really put that into play for the tournaments that I play over June, July.
Yeah, that is a really big thing. I mean, it's so easy to let those emotions consume you, because I mean, it's just so easy to give into. Like,
Right.
that's just our flesh, like, saying that's a really great thing to be feeling. Let's just keep doing that. Like, no, it can be really hard to like seriously say like, no, I'm not going to do that, especially when everyone else around you and like fans, oh my gosh, I don't know how football players do it. I cannot like
Yeah,
all those people saying like screaming out words, saying, all these things like that
right.
can really get to you. And so shout out to everyone you who has to deal with that and be able to, say, you know what, I'm not gonna follow that. I'm gonna follow the
Yeah,
Lord
right.
because what he has is better.
Yeah. I mean, we've been heckled. I mean, personally attacked, heckled, whatever over this year. I was last year, and tennis is supposed to be a country club sport, a gentleman's sport, and heckling isn't super popular, but boy, in college tennis, I think they just throw that out the window and they just go at you. And it honestly makes me smile. I enjoy being like heckled for some reason because I know that they're just doing that from a place of, you know, ungodliness, and it doesn't affect me anymore. It used to make me so angry as a junior player if I was ever heckled, or even when my opponent would cheer themselves on, I would get mad. And when the
Mhm.
opponent's parents cheered them on, I was like, who are you to cheer on your daughter?
Yeah.
Um, but now I'm like, you know what? I'm me and I'm in my own little world, and the Lord's cheering me on, so that's all I need to be cheered on is God.
Hmm.
But yeah, I think letting go of that, because I mean, if anybody knows me, they know I'm an emotional mess sometimes on court, and I've always struggled with my emotions and containing my anger. And I can just see God's faithfulness play out through preseason, having my team being so gracious to me to call me out on the things that I need to work on, and having the ability to change as a person and as a player for the bigger picture and for the sake of my team was a big takeaway for me. So
Yeah, that's really good. Definitely. Everything you just said was like perfect. So I love that. Um, so in those moments though, where it's like you're in your, I guess, low moments of your season or even just in general, how do you, or actually the question is, in those moments where you try to handle those situations yourself, whether that's in your season, out of season, whatever, um, what differences, and I know this is kind of an obvious question, but I'm just gonna ask,
no, go
but
ahead.
some differences that you've seen from you handling the situation, good or bad,
Mhm.
between like God handling it? Just like, I just want to get your thoughts.
Yeah, like some differences for sure. Well, when I handle things, it usually ends pretty poorly. It ends with, me calling my teammates names, or, me giving into my anger. And just that includes just, I mean, feelings of depression. I spiral mentally and I start questioning my worth as a person and as a player. I told myself several times throughout this season, like, you don't belong here. Like, why are you playing here? And I know that's not even me. I know that's the enemy trying to get in my head. And like reflecting over that, that's dangerous. And I'm so glad that when God steps into the picture, and when the Holy Spirit steps into the picture and steps into my heart, um, it becomes more of a place of, you know what, some days are going to be hard, but that's okay. And I know that when the Spirit and when God helps me handle situations, it's usually coming from a place of Emily makes an apology and Emily owns up to her mistakes, but Emily, does better, and communicates with her teammates and with her coaches and with herself. And that's usually when I'm in the Word, which is kind of a funny correlation, but or an obvious one. But I know that there's just verses that I really picked out that helped me through that. And my word for this year, I have a word of the year every year that I, create and have an intention for, and I pray over usually in December to let the Lord put it on my heart. And this year is satisfied. And
Mhm.
boy, has that been hard to live sometimes, especially with
Mhm.
some of the stuff I've had to deal with and go through. Being at an SEC school, having that pressure, but just remembering that only the Lord satisfies me and fills me just keeps me afloat and grounded.
Yeah, definitely. That's so cool. Oh my gosh, I love that. But yeah, no, it can be hard. Those days where it's like, there's just that obvious difference, really, where it's like you're in your word one day and then you're not. And for me personally, I struggle with reading my word every day. Like consistency, not really in my vocabulary. So I'm
Same.
just kind
I
of
feel
like,
you. I feel you.
yeah, I'll be like here one day and then completely down here the other. And I'm just like, what is going on? But I'm glad that I noticed those things. So
Right.
like I can actually like be like, okay, we need to, come on, we got to stay in the word this day, that day, that day. But yeah, the difference is honestly crazy. Like, I don't think people outside the faith, I guess, wouldn't see it, but like, it's so obvious to me. I'm like, one day, especially if I'm not in my word, I'll just wake up angry and like just not feel good. And I'm just like, I don't want to go to school today. I don't want to do this. I don't want to meet this person. Like, no, I don't want to do all that. And then the days where I'm actually in my word, I'm like, today is a wonderful day. And it's like a tornado outside my window. And I'm like, it's a beautiful day. I love tornadoes. It's a beautiful tornado. Like, that's how it is. I mean, talk about peace. That's just peace. That's what it is. Having peace.
I couldn't agree more. I woke up the other day, I think it was Wednesday, and I just woke up with the biggest smile on my face for no reason. And I'm like, okay, God, we're gonna have a good day. And you know, not every day is like that, but the days where I do wake up like that, physically refreshed, mentally refreshed, I take advantage of that, and I try to go do just the Lord's work, and I try to go do things that in my normal day I couldn't do because I either don't have time or don't have the strength. But we're like on cloud 9 for some reason, so we're going to take advantage of that. But yeah, I agree. I think that peace is what keeps us going. And like you mentioned, people outside the faith don't feel that, but I know that's because we're so in tune to our heart and in tune to our body, because the Holy Spirit resides within us.
Definitely. And also it can be interesting too when you think, I feel like this also has connection to just being in your walk with Christ and not allowing it to be based off emotion and like how you feel one day versus how you feel the next. There's a word for it. Maybe there's a whole sentence for it. I don't know. But basically what I'm saying is just like those days where it's like you're on cloud 9, you're just like riding out this wave of joy, and then the next you're like, God, where you at? And it's like he's still there. He hasn't changed. It's just, today we're not doing as hot as we were the day before, but I mean, God is still good. And that's where the gratitude journal comes in, being able to see what God is doing right now.
Yeah, I think that's described, and it's funny you brought that up because it just brought me back to my testimony that I shared with FCA like back in January. Circumstantial satisfaction is when you're satisfied depending on how good or how bad your life is going at that point. And that's what I was experiencing a lot last year at Arkansas State, and experiencing even at the beginning of this year and the beginning of the season is, I'm not playing, so I'm not going to be happy. And I'm not going to worship the Lord because I'm not playing. Or, I'm playing, so I'm going to worship the Lord. I'm going to be the best Christian ever because I'm on court and everyone's watching me. So yeah, like that circumstantial satisfaction is dangerous, because when we have satisfaction, and again, that goes back to like my word for the year, which is so crazy how it continues to play out in my life throughout the year. But yeah, like having that satisfaction, no matter your circumstances and no matter what's going on, is truly when I know like I'm grounded, the Lord's with me, and we're tight and it feels good. But you've got to like work for that. You've got to fight for that, because the enemy is constantly trying to lie to you and tell you different.
Yeah, it's a constant battle. You got to pick up your cross and walk, run if you have to. Run. Yeah, it is a daily battle, but that's really good. So what's like a verse? Is there a verse that you tie with your word of the year, satisfaction, or is there just a verse in general that you try to lean on every day?
Yeah, it was Psalm 107:9, if I'm not mistaken. It was, for he satisfies the longing soul, and the hungry soul he fills with good things. And I came upon that back in December, and it stuck with me, and I applied that to I think that's verse is really where I got my word for the year. But I continue to see how, he fills the hungry soul, but he fills, like that's the key word, is the word doesn't fill, or the world doesn't fill, but the word and God fills, the hungry soul, and he satisfies the longing soul. Completely just twisted that. Satisfies the longing soul, and the hungry soul he fills with good things. But it's his good things, it's his definition of good things, not our definition of good things. And it's a promise, is what I really recognized in that verse. Is that's written by David, but it's a promise that he will satisfy and fill us. So that's what I really held on to, I think, throughout season and throughout the highs and the lows. And it was very encouraging.
That's so cool. And I just love how like you saying David wrote that. And that was like so from our perspective, just so long ago.
Right.
Like that, I mean, and it's still relevant now because
Yeah.
he's still alive now.
Mhm.
Never was dead, but like I don't even know. It's just like I don't know. It's like the fact that
all,
God,
yeah.
yeah, the fact that the same God who raised Jesus from the dead was walking with David and King Solomon and all them is like here with us now, and his Holy Spirit is within us, dwells in us. Like that's crazy to me. So
Yeah. And his promises like transcend time, which is the coolest thing ever, because I get nerded out about that stuff and I can't even wrap my head around it. But I know that I just imagine, the same God then is the same God now. And I've just visualized that, and it blows my mind.
yeah, it's absolutely insane. But I love it. It makes me happy.
Yeah.
Okay, so what changes have you like seen God work in you from, well, I guess I want to say, I guess maybe like high school or to now? Well, you know what? Yeah. Just what changes have you seen God work in you from like maybe high school, freshman year to
Yeah.
now, wherever you want to
I
start at.
even have an example from like fall to now. It's
Oh,
crazy.
okay.
Like even when I got to Mississippi State in the fall, obviously I'm like technically a freshman again. And I'm a freshman in the SEC and new on campus. And I was like, wow, there's a lot more people here than at Arkansas State. And wow, there's a lot more opportunity to do things. And I know that I continue to kind of live almost a repeat of my year from Arkansas State, my freshman year. And it was discouraging at first because I'm like, why am I still giving into the same stuff? Why am I still wanting the same stuff? And, I thought I got over that, but it was a different environment and it was new. And I think the enemy was like, ooh, this is a new shiny toy that you can play with. And I just continued to pray. And I know over Christmas break is when I saw a huge change because I got to go home and be with my family and my dog, of course, heals the soul. But I don't have those desires to do that anymore and to get drunk and not have that control over myself and go to parties and stay up late and get no sleep and wake up exhausted and miss church. And there's just me waking up this morning, and I probably was not waking up this morning the same way as I was in the fall, like on a Sunday. So just seeing that and seeing that change in my heart and desires is just so encouraging.
That's really good. Yeah, man. Yeah, when you were saying like how you came to, well, you came to Mississippi State and then you realized you still had those same desires.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that hits me hard because like I definitely get in that like mindset where I think stuff's supposed to just change overnight and I don't have to like struggle with anything. I definitely struggle with that. I just put like huge emphasis on that.
Yeah.
And like with me, I'm very impatient. So if I don't see something happening, I'm like, it's never gonna happen. What's wrong with me? Like, so yeah, no, but struggling, same stuff, and then realizing like I don't even know, but like you're still struggling with it when you thought you got over it. That stuff
Right.
is so, it can be so discouraging sometimes.
Yeah.
But no, that's just the enemy.
Right.
Well, no, that's just the enemy. So yeah.
Sure.
But I feel like I just went off on a random tangent for a second there. I don't even know. Okay. So yeah, let me see. So I guess I'll get into my last question. Oh my gosh. Okay, this has been such a great talk, by the way.
Yeah, this is so I could stay here all day.
Okay. Okay, so my last question, it's kind of a short one, but how have you seen God work this past week?
Just this past week of like April.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I'm kind of thinking this past week, or honestly, if you just want to do a recap on the spring semester, that's cool too.
Yeah, I can do this past week. I'm trying to think of what I ate for breakfast this morning. Yeah, yes, I know now. Okay. There's a lot of changes going on right now through opportunities for me and through just wrapping up the season and having meetings and reflecting. I know there's been a lot of reflecting going on. I'm a big reflector is what I like to say. I like to just analyze the heck out of things, which sometimes is not good. I just need to move on. But it's been hard to kind of move on from season, especially since it ended so abruptly. I know that we did not have the best season and we lost first round of the SEC tournament. And we kind of came back with no direction and no purpose anymore because we're done. So dealing with that and getting over that, there was a week I know it was just felt feelings of depression and like that worthlessness again because I'm not working out every day. I'm not pushing my body. But God has truly been faithful through that. Because I mean, you reached out to me and I just was like, wow, this is an amazing, woman who wants to
Aw.
build on her faith and hear other people and stuff like that. Like I said, God talks to me through other people, and I have no doubt that you're one of those people, which is crazy that it's just happened so recently. But yeah, it's been a lot to handle, especially coming off of my first SEC spring season and playing in the lineup and playing schools that I dreamed of playing as a kid. And dealing with a lot of loss. I know that there's a learning curve and I did not win as much as I wanted to, but I know that God has a plan through that. And I was put in this specific team and region and area for a reason. But yeah, it's been just kind of winding down, but I've been finding a lot of purpose through that.
Cool. Yeah, that's so cool, man. Well, I definitely wish you the best, and I know God has amazing plans for you to come. And yeah, I mean, to hear that, like God, basically you seeing like God work through me to reach out to you. That's so cool.
No,
Like,
it's a big blessing. And thank you so much.
of course, I'm so grateful to have started this podcast. This was all God, honestly. I never in my life would have seen myself doing a podcast. I'm horrible at conversations, guys. I really am. Like, you ever talk to me in person, I'll be like, well, thank you. Thank you so much. And just thank you so much for sharing your story and just being an amazing speaker.
Well, thank you so much for your time and for the opportunity and just being led by the Lord. And it's very encouraging to see that too.
I hope you guys enjoyed hearing Emily's story. If you're watching this episode on YouTube and want to check out the book that Emily mentioned called Jesus Listens by Sarah Young, it will be linked in the description box below. I've also put the Instagram link to Emily's small group called Prep in the description box as well, where you guys can find more information about it. As always, if you're watching this on YouTube, then be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you won't miss any new content. If you're listening on Spotify, then be sure to follow and hit that notification bell as well.